everybody, Citizens in Action Clark County here. It's been a little while since we've made one of these videos, so why not today? Let's focus on our neighbors in Floyd County for this video. Why? Because injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Famous words by Martin Luther King Jr. Also because we're trying to clean up Clark County from the extensive damage Jamey Noel has done to our public trust. And a big part of that was his abuse of authority to manipulate people and processes for his own personal gain. So we're not saying that that's what's going on in Floyd County, but we can't say it's not happening either. Old friends of Jamey Noel, members of the Floyd County Republican Party, may or may not be targeting one of their own. Statements came out this week which put a spotlight on a situation. Take a listen to this clip first, and this is just the tip of it.
The Floyd County, Indiana Republican Party is now distancing itself from Jamey Noel.
More of our coverage on this ongoing investigation tonight. The party sent a letter detailing the steps it's taken since Noel was charged with 25 felonies. Travis Breeze following the developments today. Travis?
Well, Doug and Shay, the Floyd County Republicans sent us and 8 other news organizations a letter Monday night saying that our party's silence has led to significant confusion and misinformation. The chair, vice chair, and treasurer of the Floyd County Republicans described Noel's allegations as a shock to the entire community. They say as more details became public, their leadership and other counties within the Indiana 9th Congressional District began to question if Noel should remain as the 9th District and Clark County GOP chair. They co-signed a letter asking him to step down. Now, the Indiana GOP has never confirmed for us that Noel did indeed step down, but as of today, Amanda Lowry of Jackson County is listed as the Indiana 9th District GOP chair. The 3 committee leaders say while Noel is innocent until proven guilty, they support the investigation. In the studio, Travis Breeze, WHAS 11 on your side.
WHAS mentions this press release statement about the Floyd County GOP distancing itself from Jamey Noel. Seems a little late for that since he was arrested back in November of 23. Here it is March of 24. We know that the Clark County GOP certainly didn't attempt to distance themselves from Noel. They invited him as a guest speaker to their Christmas party after he was arrested and charged with 15 felonies. We covered that before. Whether other GOP chairs wrote letters to Noel calling for his resignation is unknown because we've never seen any such letters. We didn't see any letters like that released all this time. We just know he chose to finally step down in January of this year as both the 9th District and Clark County chair. Regardless, here's this press release from the Floyd County GOP, and yes, it finally addresses the elephant in the room, Jamey Noel. But a good portion of this talks about the ongoing litigation between members of the Floyd County Republican Party and Floyd County Republican Councilwoman Denise Konkle. We're going to go through this statement, then we'll go through Denise's response, and what we like to do here at Citizens in Action Clark County is take a look at what story the documents tell. So this statement was put out by the Republican Party, GOP in Floyd County, and it reads, the Floyd County Republican Party has been subject of much recent discussion related to 2 major local issues, specifically the ongoing criminal investigation into Jamey Noel and the ongoing civil suit related to Denise Konkle. To date, the Republican County Republican Party has not made any public comments on these matters, preferring to handle these matters internally instead of in the media and the court of public opinion. Moving forward, as a party, we value honesty and transparency. In that spirit, we wish to address these issues so that our community may be better informed on these matters of great public importance. All right, so this first section is going over the issue of Jamey Noel. When the allegations first surfaced against Jamey Noel, it was a shock to our entire community. As the public is aware, details have been released incrementally by law enforcement and investigators. Over the last several months, there has been a perception that the Floyd County Republican Party, along with other local county Republican Party committees, sat idly by and did nothing as these details surfaced. This is simply untrue. As more details became public, the leaders of the Floyd County Republican Party, along with other counties in the 9th Congressional District, began discussing Mr. Noel's continued involvement as a chair of the Clark County and 9th District Republican Party. The end result of those discussions was a letter to Mr. Noel signed by our leadership and the leadership for majority of the other local Republican committees in the 9th District calling for Mr. Noel to resign his leadership position. To be abundantly clear, at no time has Mr. Null directed or controlled the actions of the Floyd County Republican Party. As discussed in more detail below, Mr. Null did not direct any actions related to the ongoing litigation in Floyd County involving Denise Konkle and whether she forfeited her seat on the Floyd County Council. As discussed below, Mr. Null did not direct anyone to seek the censure of Denise Konkle and ultimately had limited involvement in the censure of Denise Konkle, with Mr. Null recusing himself from the censure vote. The leadership of the Floyd County Republican Party and the elected Republicans and Floyd County government are people who love this community, care for the people who live here, and are more than capable of making decisions for themselves. Our party and elected officials rejects efforts to use Mr. Null and his ongoing legal troubles to score cheap political points and distract from the real issues facing our county. Okay, now for the part about Denise Konkle. The Floyd County Republican Party is not a party to the lawsuit related to Denise Konkle and defers to any pleadings by the plaintiffs in that suit for any official position on their reasons behind the suit and the legal issues therein. Okay, I'm going to stop here for just a second because the party to the lawsuit is absolutely 4 members of the Republican Floyd County GOP. It actually says here Charlie Moon, Connie Moon, Daniel Short, all members of the GOP, and Heather Peters as county chairperson of the Floyd County, Indiana Republican Party. Heather is the one who is releasing this statement, and she is deferring people to herself. Next, Ms. Konkel has again and again stated that she believes the lawsuit is predicated upon her censure by the Republican Party, and she has continued to misrepresent the facts and circumstances surrounding her censure. It is important for the citizens of Floyd County for the record to be set straight. Like any other organization, the Republican Party has rules. These rules are made at the state level, the same as they are for the Democratic Party and other political parties. As party leaders, we are tasked with upholding party rules and maintaining the integrity of the party. One of these rules is that a Republican will not openly support a candidate, remember that word candidate, of another party against a fellow Republican. Denise Konkle broke a fundamental rule of the Republican Party. In December 2022, a meeting was held with the Republican members of the Floyd County Council. At that meeting, the state party rules regarding voting for candidates of other parties over fellow Republicans were discussed. As of that meeting in December 2022, all county council members, including Ms. Konkle, were informed that these rules would be enforced going forward and that violations of the rules could subject a member to internal party discipline. Despite being fully aware of this, Ms. Konkle made the decision to disregard the rules of her party and yet again vote for a Democrat over a nominated Republican for a leadership position on the Floyd County Council in January 2023. As a result, the Floyd County Republican Party leadership, its chair, which is Heather, vice chair, secretary, and treasurer, unanimously agreed to file a censure complaint against Ms. Konkle. Following a hearing at which she was allowed to present evidence, call witnesses, make any arguments she wanted, she was censured by the 9th District Republican Party. Blah, blah, blah. Jamey Noel recused himself from that vote. The other 3 members who heard the issue had never met Ms. Konkle before prior to the hearing. Ms. Konkel appealed her censure to the Indiana Republican Party with the assistance of legal counsel. Her censure was affirmed. All right, if you did not have any clue that any of that was going on, you can tell by this release statement that there is a lawsuit against Denise, and before that there was a censure last year for allegedly violating the Republican Party rules. Censured means you've done something to break the party rules and you can't run for an elected office for that party for the next 5 years. So it's like an internal party disciplinary thing. Even though Denise was reelected by her constituents in her district, the Republican Party has effectively prevented her from being on the ballot as a Republican in the next election. The Republican Party in Clark County, at least under Jamey Noel's dictatorship, are well known for abusing and misapplying party rules to manipulate the political arena and to pick and choose candidates that often serve their own self-interest and not always the interests of the people they represent. So that's what we're trying to change, and that's why this story is of particular importance. Censuring a candidate is pretty serious, so What did Denise really do that was so bad? Mark Stevens tells it best.
In New Albany, Republicans are deciding whether to censure two of their own on the Floyd County Council behind closed doors. The members' violation? Voting for a Democrat to serve as vice president of the body earlier this year. Wave News reporter Mark Stevens, though, says the council members believe this hearing is in retaliation for a different vote they took that night.
Josh, back in January, Republicans Jim Freiberger and Denise Konkle voted for a Democrat to serve as vice president of the Floyd County Council. That's not unheard of. Another Republican voted for a Democrat to be in leadership on the council in 2021. Both Freiberger and Konkle feel this censure attempt is for a vote they took for ambulances that night. This is the newest ambulance at the Lafayette Township Fire Department, one of two paid for with CARES Act money given to it by a fractured Floyd County Council in January.
I can't justify giving a $500,000 gift to part of the county.
One taxing unit giving another taxing unit funds opens up Pandora's box.
Have a stroke minutes means saving the person's life.
The council approved giving the fire department $500,000 by a 4-3 vote. That's a flip from the same vote on the exact same issue last March. What was different this time? Councilmember Jim Freiberger had replaced another member.
The response times out in our rural districts are not great.
He campaigned on improving emergency ambulance service in rural Floyd County. These new ambulances will respond to 911 calls, but rarely take people to the hospital. That's because Floyd County contracts with New Chapel EMS for that service. Freiberger says his ambulance vote is seen as a threat to New Chapel's existing contract, which is up for renewal in May.
And the concerns they may have with the EMS service, things that I expected that, moving forward their contracts and what we're going to try to hold the requirements to.
Floyd County Council President Denise Konkle believes the same.
I think that there's some other motive for this.
New Chapel's ambulance contract has been debated for months. A now dissolved board recommended the county go in two different directions for ambulance service before considering renegotiating with New Chapel. A decision has not been made. New Chapel is run by Jamey Noel, who is also the chairman of Indiana's 9th District Republican Party Committee. That's the committee that will be hearing Konkle and Freiberger's censure Wednesday.
Well, he's a vendor who is getting money from our county, and he's also in a row that he can manipulate people to do what he wants to be done.
I think he should be reclusing himself from any kind of vote, trying to sanction both myself and Denise with that scenario.
We reached out to Null to ask if he'll recuse himself. He did not get back to us by news time. We also reached out to Floyd County Republican Chairperson Heather Peters to ask questions about this censure meeting. She did not respond. Mark Stevens, Wave News.
Here's a more complete clip of how this terrible crime went down.
The first order of business this evening is the election of the council president. Do I have any nominations? Mr. Freiberger.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Denise Konkle for president.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Are there any additional nominations?
Short.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Well, Denise, we will be calling for a vote by roll.
Yes, affirmative.
Mr. Freiberger.
Yes.
Mr. Striegel.
Yes.
Ms. Konkle.
Yes.
Mr. Bagshaw.
No.
Mr. Short.
No.
Ms. Moon.
No.
And a 4-3 pass. I believe that Ms. Konkle is the new council president for the year of 2023. Congratulations, Denise.
Thank you. The next order of business is to elect the vice president. We will take nominations from the floor.
Nominate Danny Short.
Second.
Nominate Brad Striegel.
Second.
We have two nominations. We'll just go down the roll again and just state who you're voting for. So
Connie?
Danny?
Danny?
Danny.
I'll vote for Brad.
I'll vote for myself.
I'll vote for Brad.
Brad.
The vice president is Brad.
So here you saw most of the Republicans on the council, Connie Moon, Danny Short, Dale Bagshaw, all voted against Denise in becoming president of the council. Yet right after that, she was supposed to play nice and vote for Danny Short to be her vice president after he had just voted against her as being president. Even though she believed Brad Striegel, a Democrat, had more experience to hold that position. This was her alleged crime against the Republican Party. So let's break this down. What do the party rules actually say? Rule 1-25, the term Republican in good standing shall be defined as a Republican who supports Republican nominees and who does not actively or openly support another candidate against a Republican nominee. There is no party definition of candidate or nominee, so we have to refer to the Indiana Code for those definitions. They state a candidate, except as provided in subsection B, candidate means a person who has taken the action necessary to qualify under Indiana law for listing on the ballot at an election or to become a write-in candidate. 2, has publicly announced or declared candidacy for an elected office. Or 3, otherwise seeks nomination for an election to an elected office, regardless of whether the individual wins election to the office. Okay, so then that begs to the question, what is the definition of nominee? We want to make sure that we've got all the definitions here. So nominee means a candidate. We just read that definition. So nominated by a political party at a primary election or convention under this title as the party's candidate for an elected office in a general, municipal, or special election, or nominated by petition for an elected office. Just to be extra thorough, let's look up the definition of elected office. Indiana Code 3-5-217. Elected office means a federal office, state office, legislative office, school board office, or local office. Political party offices such as precinct committeeman, state convention delegate are not considered to be elected offices. So in this case, per the legal definitions, being a president or vice president of a council does not fall into this party rule at all. And furthermore, these rules do not apply at any time that people are electing leadership of councils. It happens all the time that president will be Democrat, vice president will be Republican, vice versa. Obviously, opposite parties elect those people in place. That's considered working together. That is not considered going against your party. We know that Jamey Noel did recuse himself, although it's very hard to believe that he didn't have some influence over the result of the censure. So Denise tried to defend herself during the censure meeting. She was ultimately not successful, was censured on February 15th, 23. She hired legal counsel to put in an appeal to the 9th District GOP, and from our understanding, they wouldn't even hear her appeal. As if that wasn't bad enough, then comes the lawsuit. So last April 2023, Charlie Moon, member of the Republican Party, filed a lawsuit against Denise Konkle. Since then, 3 other Republicans have joined suit, including Heather Archibald-Peters, the Floyd County GOP chair, who just released that statement, Connie Moon, who is Charlie Moon's wife, also a sitting Floyd County Council member, and Danny Short, the other sitting council member. The basis of the lawsuit is that Denise temporarily moved out of her district and 3 miles into neighboring Harrison County due to a change in marital status. She got a divorce, so she had to purchase a new home in Floyd County, and that home required some renovations before she could move in. So she, in the words of her attorney, temporarily lodged in Harrison County for a total of 6 months. Denise has been pretty vocal about both the censure and lawsuit being nothing but bullying tactics to get her to forfeit her seat on the council because she won't vote like they want her to. Now, this is probably a bigger topic in Floyd County. I don't think we hear too much about this in conversation here in Clark County, but the Floyd County GOP decided to shine a big spotlight on this issue when they released this week's press statement. So, in Denise's words, and she started this GoFundMe to help with her legal expenses. We don't know where the money's coming from on the other side, on the plaintiff side. That is a question. But Denise is having to start a GoFundMe to help raise some funds for her litigation, for her defense. So she says, this is the last thing I ever imagined or wanted to do, having my integrity challenged, being sued, and asking for money. Over the last year, the leadership of the Floyd County GOP has led an attack on me, including a censure that took away my right to run as a Republican and a civil lawsuit that seeks to evict me from office. My crime, voting for an individual who I believed was the best person for the job as vice president of the county council. Denise was president, who happened to be a Democrat, and moving to a temporary residence while building a new home in my district. I had sought the advice of the county council's attorney and the Indiana State Election Board prior to doing so. So she actually did consult with professionals before even making this move. So that, to me, shows intent to move back to her district. Legally, I was facing a trial originally scheduled for March 8th. This is now delayed as a result of the judge recusing himself from the case. That is Judge Kyle Williams. We'll go over that in a minute. This is remarkable considering the judge had already ruled against my motion to dismiss prior to recusing himself, citing an appearance of a conflict of interest. Okay, so back when this lawsuit was filed, some things happened, to get it all organized. Ultimately, Judge Kyle Williams was assigned to this case. He does have connections to the Knolls. There is no secret about that. You can look at his finance campaign forms. So somehow he is assigned to this case. He does not feel like he needs to recuse himself at that time, but now all this time later, he's decided, hey, there might be a conflict of interest here. I'm going to go ahead and tap out. She says, I believe the real motive for this lawsuit was my vote in support of the county's purchase of 2 ambulances for the Lafayette and Greenville Township fire districts. The action was strongly opposed by the GOP 9th District Chair, who owns New Chapel EMS, a competing ambulance service. In addition, the leader of the Floyd County GOP both led the move to censure me and as a party to the lawsuit against me, despite the fact that she serves as the New Chapel attorney. All quite unbelievable. And yes, after the censure was led by Heather Archibald-Peters, she later was retained as the New Chapel EMS attorney, and she now sits as the registered agent. So she is very involved in the ambulance company that Denise is speaking against. I have already written checks exceeding $20,000, have a balance that I owe approaching $7,000, and face more legal fees as my case moves forward. This is why friends, relatives, and even people who I do not know have offered to help me financially. They believe there is no room in our community for politically motivated harassment, and that this battle against political manipulation and intimidation is not mine alone to fight. So we will drop the link to Denise's GoFundMe. Feel free to support her in this. So that's the description in the GoFundMe. Denise actually did come back with a press release statement following the GOP press release statement, and I think it addresses a lot of the topics here. So let's go through it real fast. I've been asked to respond to a press release issued by the Floyd County GOP chair and 3 others suing me over my temporary relocation after my divorce and while my new home was being built. It's amazing that the GOP chair says the party is not involved in the lawsuit when the release is on Floyd GOP letterhead, provides the attorney representing the 4 as the key contact, and court filings indicate that Ms. Archibald-Peters is acting in her role as GOP chair. I've been advised by friends to ignore this release, and they're probably right, so I'll try to keep my reply brief. The purpose of the GOP release is to deny that Jamey Noel has had any influence over the Floyd County GOP. This is simply not true. Ms. Archibald-Peters' continued strong defense of Mr. Noel, even after his initial indictments in November, is well known. Any suggestion that there were no links or attempt to influence Floyd County Republicans can be easily dismissed by a look at campaign finance reports that document Mr. Noel's numerous campaign donations and or hosting of fundraisers for those suing me, including one for Danny Short on August 25th, 2022, and one for Mr. Moon during his campaign in September of 2022. So let's just back this up really fast. Campaign finance forms for Danny Short in 2022, and there is Jamey Noel's campaign donation to Danny Short, $500. And here is the September 22nd fundraiser she's referring to. So we can't tell by this post that it was funded by Jamey Noel, but it certainly does mention him here. And then here is Charlie Moon's campaign finance form. You can see Casey and Jamey Noel donated $500. We do not see Jamey Noel directly on Connie Moon's finance forms, but of course Connie and Charlie are married. We've done similar digging through the campaign finance forms of Denise Konkle. Cannot find any donations whatsoever from Jamey Noel or any of the Noels on Denise's forms. The claim that I violated party rules in voting for Brad Striegel as council vice president in 2023 is baseless. The vote was for council leadership, not a general election. The GOP rule uses the word candidate. Mr. Striegel was a candidate for office at that, I think she meant to say Mr. Striegel was not a candidate for office at that point. He was an elected official. I felt that he was best qualified for the position. I still do. Voters elected me to use my best judgment in making decisions that affect them. They expect me to collaborate with bipartisanship approach to get things done. I will always honor that expectation. She goes on to give some examples of other Republicans who made similar actions and did not receive party reprimand. So in regards to the censure, this party rule applies to candidates during election time. That's what the law says. Once candidates make it through elections, they become duly elected office holders. I don't care who you are, you do not tell an elected official how to vote. I don't know what laws that specifically violates. I haven't looked those up yet. But I do know that you cannot threaten elected officials to vote your way under threat of consequence. And Heather, an attorney of all people, operating with a bar license subject to the Indiana Professional Code of Conduct, who should know the law, has put into writing that she held a meeting in December of 22, told the council members that they would receive internal party discipline based on how the council members voted. Wow. I know I'm going back and forth between the censure and the lawsuit and the EMS topic, but according to Denise and a lot of other people watching this train wreck, it is of popular opinion that these things are intertwined. Plus, I'm not sure when exactly Heather was retained as New Chapel EMS attorney, but sometimes after she led this censure against Denise, she became the New Chapel EMS registered agent. See that President is listed as Jamey Noel, Vice President Matt Owen, Secretary Shannon Grant, and signature Jamey Noel. Okay, so that was in August. Then in October, before the actual arrest has taken, after the home raids, after the warrants, after the subpoenas, but before the arrest, there is a change made to the registered agent of the 067, actually the other one as well. I don't have that pulled up, but the registered agent becomes Heather Peters, the Floyd County GOP chair, as an individual. All right. So in January of 2024, we see some additional changes. Jamey Noel comes off as president. We don't know who the president is. There's not one listed, but his name is not listed anymore. Now we just see VP Matt Owen, board members Shannon Grant, Kevin Wilkerson, and Paul Holcomb. And that is now signed by legal representative Heather R. Peters. And then in January 2024, again, we see a change of registered agent. It's not Heather Peters, the individual anymore. It becomes the law office of Heather Archibald-Peters, PC, the business. So that is the timeline of changes of documentation here. This does not look like distancing of the Floyd County GOP chair, Heather Peters. This looks like pretty active involvement, on the contrary, to New Chapel EMS. All right, home stretch, everybody. Hang in there. Let's run through the details of the lawsuit. The plaintiffs are Charlie Moon and Connie Moon. They are married. What's weird about these two is that Connie sits on the Floyd County Council with Denise. Connie is an at-large representative. She represents the whole county. Charlie Moon also ran for a district seat in 2022. So if he would have won, they would have been a married couple living out of the same house on the council together. So that seems a little bizarre. He lost in 2022, though, by a lot. Danny Short, Republican council member in District 3. He's a realtor. Don't know too much about him other than Null donated to him, possibly helped fund a fundraiser for him. Heather, of course, is a friend and business associate of Jamey Noel, or at least she was a friend. She's the Floyd County chair and attorney and registered agent for New Chapel EMS. All of these people who live outside of Denise's district are claiming injury from the fact that she stayed outside of her district for a period of 6 months before her new home was ready in Floyd County. The details of this lawsuit are available on my case. So let's go through what's been happening here. It looks like everything started on 4/19. Got a couple documents pulled up here. First is the original petition from Charlie Moon against Denise. Just a couple things to bring up here. They are citing the Indiana Constitution, Article 6, Section 6. That's pretty clear. That's pretty general. All county, township, and town officers shall reside within their respective counties, townships, and towns, and shall keep their respective offices at such places therein and perform such duties as may be directed by law. The other one is Indiana Code 36235. To be eligible to serve as a member of the fiscal body of any county, a person must reside within that county. Then down below, they are noting that she lived or resided in Harrison County for at least 6 months. Let's go to these codes really fast. Let's see if this will pull up. 36235, election of fiscal body. To be eligible to serve as a member of the fiscal body, a person must meet the qualifications prescribed by this other code. A member of the fiscal body must reside within the county as provided in Article 6, Section 6 of the Constitution, the district from which the member was elected, if applicable. A member who fails to comply with subsection B forfeits the office. Okay, so meets the qualifications prescribed in this other code. Let's go to that other code. And that is Denise would fall under county council member. So a candidate for membership in the county council of a county must have resided in the county for at least 1 year before the election and have resided in the district in which seeking election, if applicable, for at least 6 months before the election. All right, so it's really going to come down to the interpretation of residence. Now let's go on to the appointment of Honorable Kyle Williams, judge of the Clark Superior Court. So they brought in Judge Williams into Floyd County because they felt it would be probably a conflict of interest to have a judge from Floyd County. So that was done in April of 2023. Now, Konkle's response to petition, they made a motion to dismiss. Denise's defense attorney states that she was a Floyd County resident at the time of the election. The election would have been in November 2022. So this is saying that she temporarily lodged in Harrison County, right next to Floyd County, from October 2022, right before the election, to April 2023. Because she was going through a divorce and because she had to temporarily stay somewhere, and she was waiting for her new Floyd County home. All right, so they are calling for a dismissal of the petition, a brief stay in Harrison County, only as long as the construction on her new home in Floyd County took. They do have some case law here to back this up. It says Indiana law is clear that a person does not change residency by the mere fact of being physically present in another location. Rather, the person must have intent to reside in the new location. Instead, down here below my other highlighted section, instead, a person who moves for preparing to purchase or occupy a residence does not change residency without the intent of making a permanent home in the new place. All right. She now does live back in her Floyd County new home. So her Her attorney is saying the petition is nothing more than a political stunt from those who disagree with how Councilwoman Konkle has served her constituents and her exercise of political independence. Okay, now we've got the addition of some attorneys for Charlie Moon, Connie Moon, Danny Short, and Heather Archibald-Peters. So Michael Wilder entered the scene on the 14th of July, 2023. Then we've got, let's see, in August of 2023, memorandum of support for her motion to dismiss. As additional support, motion to dismiss for lack of subject matter jurisdiction. Indiana law is clear that petitioner Moon lacks standing to bring this case. So basically, Denise's attorney is saying that none of these people actually live in the district that she represents, so therefore they don't even have standing to be able to bring this lawsuit forward. Now we see the addition of plaintiffs. So here's where Connie Moon, Danny Short, and Heather Peters join in. Motion to leave. All right. So when is this? All right. So in December 2023, we are seeing people start to withdraw. So the original attorney, Gillenwater, however you say that, puts in a motion to no longer be the representing attorney for the plaintiffs. So he states that counsel is taking an extended leave of absence from the practice of law and client has received other counsel. And so then we see the entry, the addition of S. Coy Travis, attorney for the plaintiffs. So for Moon, Short, and Archibald-Peters, another attorney comes in. Then on January 31st, we see Attorney Wilder exit the scene, leave to withdraw his appearance in this matter, and the reason is that the clients have other counsel representing them. So looks like these two attorneys got out of the suit and were replaced by public defender. Okay. Now, here's where this gets interesting. Judge Kyle Williams recuses himself in, when is this? February 14th of 2024. So he states he does find that continued involvement in this case could give rise to an appearance of a conflict. So he did not grant the motion to dismiss. He allowed this case to continue, and nothing really has changed from the beginning of the case when he was assigned to now. Supposedly, I don't know what has come to light, but for whatever reason, he's decided that now he could appear to have a conflict of interest. And as we discussed before, Jamey Noel certainly has contributed, or his family, Jamey Noel's family, has contributed big time to his campaigns. They've got pictures together. That would maybe be seen to be a little close to the New Chapel issue. Okay, so then we've got this judge, Jason Mount, who is coming now from Scott Circuit Court to take over. Now the pretrial conference is scheduled for April 26, 2024. One other note is that I guess they also tried to get criminal charges filed with Special Prosecutor Jamey Noel from Clark County. But Jamey Noel has filed a final report showing he does not intend to file criminal charges against Denise Konkle. So he has removed himself from this situation as well. So who does it hurt that Denise temporarily lodged 3 miles outside her district due to a change in marital status? Does it hurt any of her constituents? If so, why did absolutely 0 members of her district file a lawsuit on this matter? Her constituents are the ones who reelected Denise into her council position. If they don't like her actions or how she votes, then the people will let that be known during the next election. It is not the role of the Republican Party to remove elected officials from their seats or use our justice system to obtain the results that they want. So, we beg the questions. Can a member of a political party tell an elected official how to vote? What's the real motivation behind this lawsuit and censure? Where's the money coming from? Who's paying for the plaintiffs' legal bills? And Amanda Lowry, now that you're the 9th District GOP chair, Will you advocate for the 9th District to hear Denise's appeal for her censure? That's it for now. If you want to support Denise Konkle's GoFundMe, we have dropped the link below. And as always, feel free to like and subscribe. Check out our website. We are now on Facebook, link below, and you can join us on Telegram where we drop bigger documents. Special thanks to Integrity and Accountability with Sean Bostock for doing such an amazing job keeping track of all this stuff in Floyd County and Clark County, and for providing a lot of the content from this video. His link is also below.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 6B, ambulances for Lafayette and Greenville Fire Districts, as well as attaching the resolution 203-01 to purchase 2 ambulances.
We've already got 2. Now we're going to buy 2 more, which we already bought 1. It's already been paid for, so it will be a reimbursement to Lafayette because they've already bought it. The other thing would be there's going to be a total of 4 now. We don't need a contract with New Chapel for 4 ambulances in the county because Lafayette and Greenville now have their own EMS service. Are they going to get the quality of care that New Chapel offers? Probably not.
When you're thinking about this funds, think about the time it takes for our ambulance to get there and the time it takes, New Chapel to get there. That's the only reason we make the runs,
We would like to continue with now therefore be it resolved that the County Council of Floyd County, Indiana approves the purchase and expense of 1 ambulance for the Greenville Fire Department and reimbursement of 1 ambulance to the Lafayette from the CARES Act money totaling $500,000 for purchase of enhancing the EMS service in Floyd County.
All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries.
So Charlie Moon, Franklin Township, told Tony earlier that, you're looking at purchasing these ambulances. How about Georgetown? How about Franklin Township? What is the master plan? You have the commissioners getting ready to rule on their next meeting on doing away with the EMS board. They're in the middle of the contracts with New Chapel. How's this going to affect the county as a whole? And here you are purchasing ambulances that you're saying it's 20 years old. Well, maybe they should have budgeted it for that. Now, as far as what transpired earlier, since it's public comment, you know something? For 3 years now, this board has been in an awe. You're a narcissist.
That's professional.
Yeah. No, any more public comment, but there will be no more name comment. Sorry.